segment of Boomerang, we're visiting the largest automobile collection in the world. Bill Potts of Dallas, Texas, requested Boomerang to visit Harrah's Automobile Collection, which is situated in Reno, Nevada, in the USA.
It's here at Harrah's that you could spend a whole day viewing and studying this maze of antique, vintage, classical and special interest cars. This 1931 Bugatti Royale Coupe de Ville is just one of 2 Royales owned by Harrah's. There is only 6 known to be in existence. This stately vehicle was fortunately hidden in the sewers of Paris at the outbreak of war in 1939. This was to prevent capture or destruction by the German army.
Harrah's automobile collection began in 1948 with the acquisition of 2 cars, a 1911 Maxwell and a 1911 Ford. Today the collection is the world's largest, with over 1,000 authentically preserved and restored cars.
Which car do you feel has the most interesting history?
Probably the most interesting history would have to be the New York to Paris Thomas. It was Thomas Flyer taken off the showroom floor. It was in 1907. It was a race that started in 1908. It lasted for 170 days, and probably they traveled over 13,000 miles.
All of the cars at Harrah's are fascinating. There's a car for every generation and every lifestyle. You'll find 19th century cars, present day cars, and everything in between. There's luxury cars and simple cars, cars that didn't make it, and those that will live on forever.
For car buffs, which vehicle would be the collector's dream?
Probably the Bugatti Royale. For a car buff, the Bugatti Royale is an interesting car. There are 6 known to exist, 7 were built. 2 are in the Schlumpf Museum in France, 2 are in our collection here in Reno, 1 is in Dearborn, Michigan, the Ford Museum, and 1 is in the museum in Costa Mesa, California, the Briggs Cunningham Museum. Interesting enough, you know, we went to great lengths to acquire this Petite Persang, and the interesting thing to a car buff here would be that this is the first Bugatti-built car. And Ettore Bugatti built this car in the basement of his home. And ironically, Bugatti being an Italian name, the car really is a French car because they wouldn't let him build it in Italy, so he went to France where he built the Bugatti cars.
And which car would be the most unusual?
Well, we have several cars that are unusual. I would say probably the Adams Farwell. Where, example, most cars have a crankshaft that revolve within the engine that pushes the pistons up and down and makes the power to make the car go. The Adams Farwell is significantly different. The crankshaft is rigid and the cylinders revolve around the crankshaft. So what I'm saying is the motor turns and not the crankshaft. The other thing that's really unique about the Adams Farwell is you can take the controls from the back seat and move them to the front location and drive the car from either location. It's pretty unique. Okay, another interesting car is the 1906 Compound. It's interesting because it has 3 cylinders. The number 1 and number 3 cylinders are approximately half the size of number 2 cylinder. It gets its name because number 1 and 3 cylinders run on gasoline, and the center cylinder runs off the unburned gases from the exhaust of 1 and 3, making it a compound engine. It's somewhat of emissions controls as early as 1906. Another thing that's interesting is that it had power brakes in 1906, so I think that's pretty unique.
There's also treasures to be found at Harrah's, like Al Jolson's Cadillac convertible. He bought this as new in 1933 for $8,000. Another of his cars was the Custom Brewster, which he bought in 1935 for $4,000.
Clyde, how long on an average does it take to restore these cars to their immaculate condition?
Well, golly, on an average, probably a year. However, we have been known to do them in much less time. We've done a couple of Model A Fords in approximately 3 weeks to 4 weeks' time.
When a car goes on display at Harrah's, it's as close to the original condition as possible. It's also interesting to note that a car at Harrah's not only looks good, but it must go through a rigid road test and perform as it once did before it's classified as restored. You can even see movie stars' cars, such as Elvis Presley's Cadillac Custom, bought for $10,000 in 1973, or a Mercury Coupe driven by James Dean in the film Rebel Without a Cause. Built for speed, it could reach 100 miles per hour. You'll also find a hand-built Rolls-Royce DeVille, which in 1938 sold for $22,000. Harrah's automobile collection is more than an exhibition of technology. It's also a collection of memories. Here you can rediscover the continuing adventure of the car through its designs, ideas and dreams. But following the death of Mr. Harrah in 1978, what's the future of Harrah's?
Well, currently we're in the process of disposing of approximately 800 cars from the collection. Several things have happened since 1980, but currently we've decided to donate approximately 300 cars from the collection to the foundation and dispose of the remainder. We expect this to take place over the next 2 to 3 years.
A visit to Harrah's automobile collection is a colourful and exciting journey into the history of men and their machines.